Right then, hello and welcome to episode 16 of the Hobby Hour live. Hopefully we are live, but we'll see how it goes. Can someone in the chat who's watching let us know that you can hear us, and then we can go on confident that we are live and working. All my tech says we're live, but you never know, Evening Aled. Can you just let us know whether you can hear us okay? Dan, speak as well. How are you, Dan? You all right? Yeah. Good. You're watching yourself on the iPad. That's not the point. That's not the point of this. That's not the point of this at all.
It's a little alarming. I'm trying not to look at myself, if anything.
Loud and clear. Thank you, Christoph. So we can be heard. So what we'll do is I was going to give everyone a little bit of a rundown of what we're going to discuss today. Anyone who's not joined us for a Hobby Hour in a recorded version, I'm just going to give you a forewarning now. Hobby Hour is very, very optimistic. It's probably going to be 90 minutes, maybe even 2 hours or so. There's a lot to cover. There's a lot of old world chatter, which means I'm going to go off on one. So Dan's going to have to try and keep me in check. Please bear with us. Enjoy as much of the show as you can. And you can always watch it on the catch up on the replay if you can't watch it all now. And if you are watching on the catch up on the replay later on, thank you very much. It's all good. So hopefully some good content at the end of it. But so what we're going to do, we'll do our usual kind of catch up and a little chat and natter. Dan and I haven't spoken too much because he's been away overseas with work. So we'll be catching up about our hobby. We're going to talk a little bit about the news. I'm going to split that really because this show is all about the news. So we'll do some non-Adepticon news in the news section. We'll talk about our hobby, and then the second half of the show will be all about the Adepticon reveals. Of course, I'll spend an awful lot more time talking about Dwarven mansion holds than I do about 40k, but I thought it'd be fun to cover some of them off because some of the miniatures and things look pretty cool. But Dan, how you doing? How was work? How was your work trip overseas?
Yeah, not bad. Funny thing about India, it's quite hot. Which I'm not built for. People probably can see the ghostly apparition that is me. I didn't really catch much in the way of a tan because I did keep UK time while we were over there.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that.
Really a jolly. I mean, I didn't actually get to the office till about 1:30.
Right.
Their time in the afternoon. I didn't leave till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So apart from walking to the office from the hotel, that was my sunshine for the day, if I'm honest with you. So much opportunity. But I mean, the weekend was fun. Got to see some of Kerala, which is where I was, Kerala State. Didn't know they were communist. That was interesting because you don't go many places. Yeah, they're a communist. They're a federal system in India.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Communist state. I had no idea of that until I got over there, and I said to someone in the office, "Why are the hammer and sickles everywhere?" And they were like, because you see people, occasionally they'll put it on the textbook when they're young and idealistic, but you think they're everywhere. Yeah, they're a communist state.
I had no idea. I knew we were a federal system, but I didn't realise, because without going too far into politics, Modi's not really very communist, is he? It's a little bit different nationally. Anyway, we won't go down to the rabbit hole, but we'll talk about that offline. That's really interests me.
Yeah. When I got there, the heat was not. Nothing in the world prepared me for the roads. I've driven in some funny places. I say funny, terrifying would probably be the words, but to quote Barbosa, they're not rules, they're guidelines in regards to the highways.
But you didn't drive. Did you drive over there yourself?
No.
I was going to say, that's brave.
No. Absolutely not.
God.
No, it was just bedlam is a good way of putting it. But you get used to it. By the end of it, not surprised. As we were leaving, pull up to a traffic light, truck by the side of it, no problem. Oh, elephant in the truck.
Wow.
Driving, but in the back, just stood there. I was fine, no problem. It's a beautiful country. It was eye-opening, and then obviously there's the usual work stuff, but that's really boring. But that's occupied the majority of my time really since we last did the hobby hour. Really, is I went at the beginning of the month. I didn't come back till last Wednesday. I spent then time catching up on all the things I didn't do because I was over in India. So here we are. I have done a little bit of hobby, which we'll come to. So while I've been sunning myself in hot and sticky climes, what have you been up to?
Not sunning myself at all, really. Very much the normal stuff. Making videos, not painting nearly as much as I should do. Putting out videos about not painting as much as I should do. Coming up with new army ideas, which we'll discuss a little bit later on. A little bit, because I think a lot of people on the channel have already seen it, because I've done another live stream which covered it. But yeah, that's been it really. Just trying to rush through balancing work, balancing family life, and trying to get an army painted for the end of the month. That's been my focus. But very much the normal,
According
I think.
to the chat, I am quite low in the mix.
Yeah, I was just looking at that now and trying to answer your question while looking at you. You are maxed as far as I can go here. So I don't know if you can pop where you got the option to put your output up there.
We shall see. I think. Here's where my screen goes bright white because.
I've whacked you up a little bit at my end. I don't know if that makes any difference because the way it's done is OBS is picking up the audio capture. Has Dan got any louder, people? He's not talking right now, so you probably can't answer that question. You're much.
The highest volume I can
you're much louder in my ears, so hopefully other people can hear you better.
Okay, we'll just try that for now. I don't say anything interesting anyways.
Well, I've whacked my volume up here as well, and I hope that helps. That's just my max volume, but OBS does pull your audio through the audio output of Zoom. So whereas mine's direct through my mixer into OBS. So hopefully we're not too far different now. But yeah, if someone in the chat can let us know, that will be good, and I will keep an eye out for that. Still quiet. Wonder how far behind that is. We'll give it another minute or so because you've got a lot louder. I think your mic is a lot louder than his. Is Dan's too quiet to hear, or is mine's just too loud, Joel?
Because I'm probably about 12 inches away from my mic.
Yeah, I mean, I've got.
It's actually close to the normal, if anything.
What I can see on screen on OBS shows our levels the same, which is going to be quite tricky to balance if it's like that. I can move my fader down if I'm too loud. It's still a lot higher. Yeah, we might not be able to fix that too much. But can you hear Dan? That's the main thing. And have I got quiet now? I've moved my volume down.
You've definitely just dropped in my ear.
Yeah, I've moved my volume down, and so we'll have to see whether that balance is better. Interesting. Be interesting to watch back and experience it for myself. I can't obviously do that while we're doing this. He's too quiet. You're good, Stu. But now I've moved mine down. That might be. It's just nice. Dan's a bit quiet. That's really weird because so Dan's up full whack on everything, which is
yeah, and I can't put mine
on. Dan's really loud in my ears now because I've whacked the volume up. So, very, very strange. But we might have to have a look at that and see if there's another way. Right, well, let's see how it goes for now, because I'm not sure what we can do in the short term. As I said, I've whacked my volume down quite a lot on my mixer, so hopefully I'm not too quiet. So if you can keep giving us updates on that as we go, and we'll crack on as it is anyway. So the first thing we're going to do is talk a little bit about some news, and the first news I want to look at really is just a bit of an FYI for people. Let me open up the right window, and then we have this. So Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition, and this is a humble bundle, which I just thought was amazing value. So you got 19 titles, I think, for just under £20 in the UK. Don't know what it works out as your in currencies around the world. But if you're into your old world, you may want this for background reading. If you're like me, that's maybe thinking about dipping into fantasy roleplay again at some point, these are just really, really good, and that's such a bargain price. I think I've already got the PDF for the core thing, but just thought it was pretty cool, to be honest with you. Dan, have you ever done any Woofer Up Warhammer Fantasy roleplay?
No, roleplay. Opening myself up to the usual potential double entendres has never really been my thing. I'm never really into D&D or Warframe or whatever else you want to call it. Unfortunately, my innate sense of, I suppose, over self-awareness, feeling a bit self-conscious maybe, has never allowed me to let go enough to really engage with it, if I'm honest with you. Even in a like-minded group, it's just never really been something I've been good at or
Yeah,
comfortable with. And I think if you're not, it takes away a lot of the fundamental parts of what makes it really enjoyable. I like the idea of it, and I like a lot of the stuff that's based off it. So obviously, I used to really enjoy sort of things like Baldur's Gate and Dungeon Master for those who are old like we are. And then even like the fighting fantasy books, which have leanings into that kind of. I love that, but
yeah.
just not
Not tried it.
anything
Not really
else.
into it.
No.
I mean, I haven't since teenage, and it was the first edition Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I bought the D&D, the newer starter set when that came out as a means to try it, but I never did. It's just something I was thinking about trying with Jacob at some point. I think he would really enjoy it. Even to the point where I was thinking of running a campaign for him, a nice easy campaign where I control the other characters as NPCs and just sort of see whether he enjoys it or not and have a little play around it. But it definitely interests me. But yeah, again, time, and I wouldn't want to do it with just anyone.
Yeah.
I wanted people I was really. I don't mind doing it online either, but I want people I know a little bit. You can have a laugh. You know what it's going to be like. You don't want to get stuck in a campaign and you're someone you clash with a little bit. I think with role play, it needs to be a little give and take. But anyway, I thought it was quite interesting how cheap it was. And then if we move on to the next bit of news, let's go on to the Middle Earth tease. So there's an article. I haven't got this to show. I've got about 20 tabs open already. We'll save my computer some power. They're on the bottom of an article about the Grand Tournament. I think it probably was. There was a little tease at the bottom. Showed a little image of just the bridge of a horse's nose with a bit of armour, really. But it sounds like something model coming along. I suppose. I'm like you, I don't spend an awful lot of time in the Middle Earth groups at the moment, but there was a little bit of upset, and I can understand it in some ways. Again, a little bit of upset. Here comes this big announcement, which we're talking about today, Adepticon, and there's no news for Middle Earth. We have been told, not long ago that there's news to come this year, and people got excited, but everything got quite negative again very, very quickly. And there wasn't a review. It just means it's not ready for them to tell you, but we know that we've got stuff coming this year. But I can understand the disappointment. We won't get into a conversation around the way it's displayed. Many people were very mature about it, Dan. People were just saying, it's a bit disappointing that there's another big reveal and the Middle Earth badge isn't on there again. And I would feel the same at the moment. I'm so old world focused. I would feel the same if I'd gone 18 months that old world had gone quiet and there was no kind of news on it. You start worrying when you. So I can understand it. Don't want to get into that, but anyway, it looked interesting. There's a tease. There's something out there for the Middle Earth fans to sort of say, "Hang on a minute."
Any thoughts on what it might be?
No idea at all. It's a horse, isn't it? So,
see, I wonder because obviously it's got the stars across the bridge of the nose on its whatever the horse armor you call that, the face armor, the horse. So it says Gondor or Arnor to me, and now obviously they've. If you look at what they released before they went quiet, you've got Witch King of Angmar and Glorfindel. So the last sort of King of Gondor, pardon my butchering of the pronunciation, Ernor, Earnur. He was the last King of Gondor. It was his armor that Aragorn wore at the Black Gate. Now, there's a design similarity there. Maybe it's Angmar we're getting, and maybe that's the model.
Yeah, it could be.
Which would be cool. Now, every time I've seen this discussed, like a trooper, Mr. Entwistle just dives in and goes, horse. And do you know what? Horse is true. We are getting a horse. There will undoubtedly be a rider. Because because as Theoden asked, where is the rider? So we want to know where the rider is. But there will be one, and I'm sure we'll get it soon, and I'm sure it'll be awesome. Because if it's anything like the modern plastics, they're all gold. There's not been a single stinker amongst them. And pretty much all of the recent Middle-earth resins have been absolutely fantastic as well when you think about it.
Yeah, very much so.
The stuff for Easterlings, Dale, all of it's just been gold. Absolute. So I'm willing to take a punt and say it's going to be brilliant. Heard it here first. I'm actually a little bit excited for it. I'm getting a little stirring of Middle-earth again, which is nice because it's coming back in, obviously. We get War of the Rohirrim this year. There's been more talk recently about season 2 of Rings of Power, whether that's your cup of tea or not. Let's avoid that one if we can. But I enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to it.
We will cover that, I'm sure, when the new season comes out.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't there even a statement in the last week saying that the new writing team have looked at a lot of assembled, but also they've spent a lot of time looking at the feedback from the first season, and they're confident that people will like it a lot more this time. And I think the quote was, it will be a lot. They're trying to stick a lot closer to Tolkien's writings and things. So some of the things that they were, I liked it as well. It's no Peter Jackson stuff, but we both enjoyed it. Anyone wants to know our thoughts on it, there was a show back ages ago, so go and listen. You have to listen to it. It's not on YouTube, but it's an old Out of the Frying Pan show, but you'll be able to go and find it. And on the server's still up. If you search it on your podcast provider, you can listen to us talk for a couple of hours about our thoughts on the Rings of Power. And we will definitely do a hobby hour when that's out, wherever that is, later this year. Is it this year it comes out? Or is it another whole year? I've lost track now.
2025.
You may well be right, actually. They're filming this year.
If we get this year, great.
Yeah, you're probably right on balance, actually. Let me just check a last couple of bits on the chat. It sounds like Wallmaster's Forge. Sound levels are better. Yeah, be able to turn own volume down a bit. Now your mic is lowest, you can hear down clearer. So sounds like putting mine down and you putting yours up has helped a little bit. We get soon. That would be the chamfron for the hose arm, horse arm on the head. Yep, absolutely. Yep. Excellent stuff. Right then, so the next bit of news we go on to Old World. I'm afraid for those of you, if you don't like Old World, you're probably used to it by now with me. And we'll go and look. We've had 4 articles, I suppose. We've had the launch article, so we're recording on Thursday the 21st of March. Saturday is the pre-order day for Orc and Goblin tribes, and we can have a little look at the Sunday preview article, so to speak, and then and just talk about the release, because we haven't really done that, Dan. I mean, you've been away, we've not kind of chatted the same way. There's not much that's a surprise, I don't think. It's all the stuff that we saw way back on the 20th of Jan now, when we went to the open day and the Orc and Goblin tribes got announced on that day, so we know what the battalion is. We still don't know what the prize is until Saturday. Has that been leaked? I've not been anywhere near the Facebook groups. It has been leaked, has it?
I don't know. I've not.
Normally, it's been leaked the price by now, isn't it? Usually, it's been leaked in another currency, and then someone say, "I haven't seen it, but then I've not been looking for it." So, someone in the chat, if you've seen the price leak, let us know. So I really don't know what to guess for it. That Black Orc.
It'll be less than the army boxes, though, won't it? Because
you can imagine so. There's no book in it. There's no new miniature in it. So you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
No big thing. Yeah.
So I'm hoping they're not 3 digits in terms of pounds sterling. Anyway, I hope they're comfortably south of that.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was 110.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping it's not going to be that, but we'll see. I love that Black Orc Big Boss. Beautiful miniature. Dan can't. Oh, you sort of see what I'm doing. About 30 seconds behind.
Yeah, I can see what you're looking at. It's obviously it does channel a bit of the old Brian Nelson, that one, actually, and I really like it for that.
Yeah, I'd say it fits in completely with the old ranges. I think it's perfect. I really like the fact that sometimes with the newer miniatures they just look completely modern, but there's something about the features of a GW Orc head that's a GW Orc head, and they have been copied by some other companies out there, but yeah, it very much fits in. Orc Warbottom Wyvern, or Wyvern, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Yeah, very nice in Forge World resin. That troll hag's amazing. And
Yeah, that's a class model.
it's just amazing. I would love to get it. I'm being very good though. I'm not buying into stuff I'm not going to play with this one. My son's got a huge army. He's not painting, so I might get stuff in the future. But I'm not. I can't buy every faction as it comes out. So I'm going to buy the Arcane Journal, and that's probably it. I might get the cards for use for Jacob, but I also might just print stuff off for him. To be honest with you, he's only 9. He'll be 10 this year. He doesn't need to own his own versions of everything, but there he chuckled away at her, and I bet you can guess what a 9-year-old was chuckling at on her. The command sets
picked up your mature level.
Yeah, I had to pretend I was disappointed, but obviously I was giggling myself. The command sets are really nice. I don't remember those from before, but I didn't. Yeah, I think there were so many sculpts for orcs and goblins. It's like so easy to forget certain sculpts unless you were really into the army. It's such a huge range.
Where they came out at the same time as the armored handgunners and stuff for Empire. I think it was the forerunner for the Warhammer.
Yeah.
Imperial armor book that never materialized. Would have been the last Alan Bly book, I believe.
Yeah.
It would have been the second one after. Was it Teuton thingy?
Tamarkan.
Oh, Tamarkan, that's the one.
Yeah, there's a story there, and I think Jordan Sorcery Moat will tell that story one day around the sort of the changes in the studio and what Tamarkan was supposed to be. There's a good story around that. Hopefully that becomes a video one day. So we got classic orcs in plastic coming back. Some of that's the same that's in the box. I'm guessing not the plastic goblins at that point. And then classic orcs about like that. So go on.
The big ones. I spotted the big ones floating around. They were very much of my youth. They were the orcs. Particularly is it Snazgrod, whatever it is, the guy from Idle Gork?
Yes, yeah, I think that's it. I mean, yeah, they've all got similar names, but I think I've changed my opinion on this slowly over time. I always knew there was going to be old miniatures, and you can watch videos from a year ago, and I said, I bet you there'll be lots of old miniatures brought back. But the way they've done it in terms of, let's really lean heavily into the nostalgia, and I think people are genuinely excited about some of the old sculpts coming back. There's a few that people are like, well, at least the metals and the things that are coming back in resin that were metal before generally are being received really, really well. I think where people still complain a little bit is about some of the dated plastics and things, especially when there's newer plastics out there. But again, people can vote with their wallets on that one and buy an AOS version if they want to, can't they? But yeah, these coming back are just beautiful characterful models that cost you an arm and a leg on eBay. So why would you not want them? So then we got on to the lovely ogres, and that again, I love them. This is me being good. The if I hadn't bought Tomb Kings and stuff as well, I'd be looking at those and thinking, well, they'd be fun to have. Because you can use them as mercenaries, but I might go and purchase them at some point in the future. But they are just really, really cool models. I want to paint them basically. I don't really need them in any armies. I don't think I'd really run them that often. And then you've got your whole range of other cool things. So your other trolls. You've got your snotlings. You've got your pump wagon. You've got your metal stone thrower, you've got your goblin doom diver, all those really fun kits coming back, your bolt thrower. Again, things that have just been going for silly money on eBay for a while now, so at least it will kind of put them back out there for people that want to. So even if you're not playing the old world and you're playing 6th edition out there, you're playing 9th Age or whatever, these are brilliant resources for you.
Well, yes, chance to pick up models for less than getting a kid in the arena. Cool.
Yeah. And we're still scrolling here. I mean, this is a huge release. The amount of stuff just for a wave 1, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a wave 3 or wave 4 here, because there's still a lot to come. I won't go back in.
Massive range though.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's so hard for them. And when there's no night goblins here, but on the original launch article, if you scroll right to the bottom, there's a list of other things, and night goblins are mentioned on there. But I'm guessing they're thinking, well, let's focus on the things that you can't pick up as Gloomspite gets.
They might stage 2 it.
Yeah,
later.
Oh, I think well they did with Brett's, didn't they? And we've still got at least a shard to come, so I expect there will be a wave 2, and then maybe even a kind of a smaller wave 3 at some point. We got the 2 giants, both in Forge World resin. Again, be fun to own them. I'm not going to. So I've got my Marauder Giant, which is coming. We'll talk about another article, which we've already said that's coming as a made to order. That Bone Grinder Giant, again, so tempting, but it's going to be expensive, isn't it? That's going to be really, really expensive. I wouldn't be surprised if that's sort of 70 quid or something like that. So there's just, yeah, I'm not as much as I want it, I can't afford to keep buying things like that just for fun. And then the Arcane Journal, which I think is I don't know how many pages, there will also to be 48 pages. So 48 pages, I will be picking this up. They're reasonable enough price. I'm going to pick them up for each army, not just because of the channel, but also because I'd probably want to own them anyway. Whether I try and join the race for the cards each time, I don't know. I'd like them, but I'm not going to stress if I do miss out on them on Saturday morning, to be honest with you. And I'm staying well away from the dice because I didn't for Middle Earth, and it's just a silly game. I didn't use them, I just stayed in their pots and things, so I'm staying well away from the dice, don't need them. But great for people who do want them. But that's a huge amount of stuff. It does sort of tie your army into a certain kind of army at the moment. See, I think the most competitive builds are very much going to be Night Goblins and Fanatics and things. So if you want to do that kind of build, then you are going to be looking at the AOS range for those at the moment. If they're even in stock, I'm not sure. But that's a huge pre-order. And it'll be really interesting to see how quickly some bits go out of stock and how well it sells for. And then we had some Arcane Journals, which of course you get. I'm not going to read through these. I just wanted to touch on a couple of points on them. So I felt that the whole tone was really, really nice and positive. So you've got 2 designers there, Danny and JTY. Yeah, so you got your main rules writer and your other rules writer for the old world there, talking about the game, which is really nice. Talk a little bit about the rules for the Orcs and Goblins and some of their key things. Again, I'm not going to read that out. Troll Magic looks really interesting. Troll Hag, that's going to be extra rules for that in the Arcane Journal. And just loads and loads of fun and flavour. So I'm looking forward to looking at Arcane Journal. Should be good fun. I think it'll add a lot of dimensions to what is already quite a large toolbox of an army list in the Ravening Hordes book. And then the bottom bit, I think, was the bit I really wanted to kind of point people towards, because there's been a lot of negativity. There's always, every time I put a video out to do with the old world, someone will comment, GW, cash grab. They're just in this, they'll after a year they're going to stop it, or 2 years they're just going to make a bit of money, sell the books and be gone. And I never believed that anyway, but it's just really nice to see these comments at the bottom. So you got Danny saying that the game has been incredibly well received and it's great. There's so much passion and the scope for the project has grown. So please bear with us. So you can read into that what you want, but it sounds like due to how well it's gone that that there could be more than they may have originally thought, or at least it's become more secure that they may do more, which is good. But make from that what you want. But definitely it's going well. Then JTY, we aim to do this forever. We have planned books for the next redacted years. We have all these miniatures planned and clear ideas of what we're working towards, but we have to get there. We're reintroducing the world and setting over the course of 9 Arcane Journals. Once that's done, who knows? Again, I just think that that's really, really nice, positive thing. And I commented how I felt that the "you're not getting Cathay or Kislev yet" comment at the bottom of the Total War 3 article, I just didn't think it was needed. I felt like it was about something else. So I made a comment on that in my video on that, just saying it was a shame because it puts a sort of almost a negative tone at the bottom of it. And then we know that a lot of people, including Dan, weren't too happy when the Legacy Factions, the way that was announced 2 or 3 days before the actual launch. But this, I think the tone for that is really positive and really, really good. And I think that's really nice. So I'll get through these next couple and then we'll go and have a little look at the chat. So again, we've got more about the way the Orcs and Goblins are meant to play. I'm not going to read this out to you. Go and check the articles out. Again, it's the rules writers who have been interviewed here and answering questions about the game and about where they design things. You learn a lot from these articles if you read them, you really do. Even if it's just a little bit about why they've made certain decisions. So I find them really, really useful and really, really interesting. So definitely go and check that article out. They are talking about fanatics and things now, so they will be interesting. The rules for those. Have you looked at the rules for fanatics, Dan?
I confess I've not really looked at anything to do with anything for the last couple of weeks.
They look quite strong. You choose when
they never sucked, did they?
No, but you choose when you release them now, and you can release them into combat when you're in combat as well. So there's
you
can't
do that to a point.
Well, you could trigger them before, couldn't you? You'd send a chaff unit out to try and draw them out. You can't do that now. So the Orc and Goblin player chooses when they're released, and I don't think you can target them by shooting now. So once they're out there, you kind of got to wait for them to hit something and die, I think. But so they're quite interesting.
Roll a double and strangle themselves.
Yeah, roll a double. Rolling a double or hitting a terrain piece is the way now. You can't sort of shoot them yourself, or you can't send forward like I've got in my Warriors of Chaos list a 35 point of Chaos Hounds forward to try and tease them out, because if the Orc and Goblin player doesn't want them to go out, I don't think they do. But anyway, they look quite good. And then we have one final article so far at the time of recording this. There may well be another one out today. I didn't actually check. These talk about some more of the returning miniatures, and this is more about made to order. So you've got some of the classic metal trolls coming out, which is quite nice. And again, this is something you can get a version in Age of Sigmar now. Jacobs,
I do prefer the Sigmar ones. They're beautiful.
I like them both for both. Yeah, I think the Sigmar one's obviously more modern, beautiful sculpts. Jacob's got them. We bought them for him, and I would have probably gone for them myself if I was doing Orc and Goblin army. I do like these as well, and the fact that they're made to order is almost to a nod to. They're not going to come out and say this, but I'm going to make an assumption. So they know people are going to buy the Sigmar ones, but some people would really love the old metal ones because they want to go for that nostalgia thing, and they'll buy this made to order, whereas the other people won't touch it. So rather than bring them back and keep them on the main line and then not sell, bring them out as a made to order, and then afterwards those people who want them but want the plastic versions are going to buy the Sigmar ones. Who knows if that's their thinking? That's the way my brain works.
Doing the old mail order trolls boxes.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I love it. Once in a while I receive something from eBay and it's in one of those boxes. It's always cool. There's obviously this guy which has been mentioned on the channel a few times because I've got mine, and I will be painting him soon. He'll either be out not this coming weekend but the following weekend or the week after as the tutorial. It really depends on how quickly and how much I've got done with my Warriors of Chaos army. That might become the next weekend's video if not. And then we've got this beautiful Orc Warboss and Wyvern as well, this classical. We saw these two in the cabinets when we were on open day, didn't we, Dan? They were both there. And this is repainted. I didn't realise, I just thought it was the old paint job, but reading the article, they've repainted it and tried to match some of the old style, I believe. So, very cool. More pictures of the trolls, and there's a few other metal things will come back as well. So some cool made to order stuff. And you know, that's the end of that side of the news, really. There was something else and I've completely forgotten it, so we will skip off that now, and you can see our faces again, you lucky people. But let's go and have a little look at the chat before we talk about our own personal hobby, and see who's in and who's saying what. So Alan's in, Joe Holzman's in. Getsoon's in, Christoph is in, we got Andy, friends of General Haig, is in, J, Yo in your pocket, there we go, Steve, Gary, Woolmasters Forge, Matt Hudson, Sean, Go For It Painting, Green Tree, we might be repeating people now, Joel, what else have we got? I think that's it at the moment who have commented. We've got 39 of you in, which is quite cool. This is quite cool. Right then, so has anyone said anything really interesting? I don't think there's been anything official regarding the release date, but would have heard of rumours of August 2024. That was Joel. What's that related to? That Middle Earth stuff we're talking about? Rings of Power this August. That'd be good.
Rings of Power. That'd be interesting. That seems awfully soon, though.
We have to look back when we recorded our thing, because I'm pretty sure when we recorded our rundown of it, it might have been 2022, and we were complaining we've got to wait through all of 2023 without seeing it. So it would be this year. Because because I've got a feeling that's what it is. But we'll see. I'm hoping it's
with the SAG strike though, so surely that's delayed stuff.
oh yeah, it may well have done.
I mean, I won't complain if I get it, but I'd rather it was done and it was right.
Yeah. I think they know they've got to. They've invested so much money. I think they know that they need to be received better. Otherwise, they're going to struggle financially. They're not going to struggle financially in terms of affordability, but in terms of whether it's smart business practice to keep ploughing that kind of money in for all the planned seasons. And they've planned in a ridiculous amount, haven't they? Like something stupid, like 6 seasons or something. They've planned loads. So if it's received badly again, I can see the seasons being reduced in length and in quality and in budget, and that's going to be even worse then. So we'll see how it goes. Evening, Steve. Can't target them at all. Yeah, Warmaster's Forge. Can't target them at all. Fanatics only die by hitting terrain or rolling a double. Yeah, interesting. I no idea what I would do up against them at the moment. You just feel like they've got to hit you, and you got to hope they don't do too much damage, or they spin back in and cause them. The random thing is, I suppose they can spin back and cause just as much damage in their own units. But good fun. They're always good fun to play against. Well, my son owns 6. I might have to hide some. Hide some at the back of the cupboard.
Taking my old hat out, you don't target them with cannons because you target the ground and then you roll for bounce.
Yeah, of course you do, but you can't target them.
Or you hit the unit next to them with an area effect.
Yeah, that might be the way to go.
Or you guess deliberately short with your stone thrower. I'm targeting that big unit of orcs. Oh, I'm so short.
Yeah, I honestly haven't looked to see whether you could pull those shenanigans yet, to be honest with you. I've only finished skimming the rules properly now anyway, and I've only played a couple of half games with Jacob.
It's amazing how quickly you go back to your teenage years, isn't it, though? Ooh,
yeah, well, yes, true. But playing, it's still Warhammer. So for me, the main subtle changes from the other editions in many ways, but there's also huge changes at the same time. So yeah, I'm sure I'm going to be playing wrong parts all the time.
Only the FAQ forbade that. So no. Well, apparently they were also playing fantasy during the late 90s, early 2000s, and have learned the lessons from that. I don't think Mr. Entwistle was, because I think he was probably still on the teat in the late 90s, but still.
I think war gamers are war gamers, and they will look for that stuff regardless of the game system if they can, especially Games Workshop style systems. Right then, so Dan, your hobby, I know you've been overseas. But you have done something, haven't you? I've got one picture from you.
I've built a model,
You've built a model.
which arrived.
Let me. Oh, that's not. It's gone onto the wrong picture. There we go. That's not smooth. There we go. There's yours.
It's what they're used to. Come on.
It is. So that's your model. It's cool though.
It's we're currently showing everyone a half dismantled.
Yeah, you're there you go. You're a little bit behind. Don't worry. That's what I was commenting on about the wrong picture.
There's basically it's a amalgamation of the Praetor and the Siege Breaker for Horus Heresy, with a few bits from a bits box and stuff thrown in. Because I'm starting a new legion. For that, Iron Warriors, might as well say it, probably already alluded to it in previous casts and I've forgotten about it. And I don't think Mark 6 really suits them. So I've gone for, it's a Mark 3, Mark 5 hybrid, because Mark 5 makes good of, anything basically just what gets bolted together. That was Heresy armor. It was whatever they could scrounge together. So it's far more in keeping, but it meant I had to order 2 quite costly resin models and then use bits that are no longer available from my bits box to supplement it, as well as bits from the plastic Mark III kit as well. And one of the heads from the because they released 2 head packs since they've done the new edition, and it's one of the heads from pack 1 or 2, I can't remember.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It wasn't huge amounts of hobby work required. There's some bits chopped out and played around with, and some bits had to be shaved down in order to get them to fit properly. And because the backpack and the swing arm for his little palm pilot there. Obviously, it's due to go on the back of Mark 6, and it's a different socket, and there's other bits in the way, so I had to do a bit of moving. But yeah, he was a bit of fun when I've come back. But he's literally all the hobby I've had the opportunity to do since I've been back. Aside from catching up on sleep and boring life admin for washing and all that jazz, and then work. That's it really. That's all I've managed. So it's a bit of a short one for me. Although I have bought some more models.
You have. You've been planning something, haven't you?
I've picked my army for Old War finally. I mean, I was thinking about High Elves for a long period of time, but we've got no idea when they're coming, and that's not meant as a knock to GW. They can only release stuff. I mean, people are always whinging, oh, they're not really. Why release more stuff? You're not even meeting the demand for the existing stuff.
Yeah.
Yada yada yada. Which I have some sympathy for, but on the other hand, it does mean that we don't know, and my enthusiasm might run out before then, or your patience with me trying to get an army together. So,
well, that makes no difference to me. You're too far. We're not playing each other each weekend, are we? So you don't have to. You don't have to play Old World to do the Hobby Hour podcast. It's
true,
but I want you to enjoy it if you do. But yeah, it does a little bit. It does a little bit because
it's something I want to play and I'm excited for. You can't get high off models for love nor money at the moment. Well, no, you can.
You can for money,
but not that
silly
much money. I don't care that much. And you have to wonder, people are just making hay while the sun shines because they'll run out of the opportunity to get it for decent money by the end of the year, I suppose, or potentially early next. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be summer. We just have no idea.
But I'm not financing their foreign holidays. It's not happening. So I can get hold of Chaos Warrior models, Slaves to Darkness now.
Yeah,
they're models that of the remaining supported factions, they closer fit my painting style and palette. So why not? So I've ordered a couple of Vanguard sets. I think it's whatever the starter boxes are.
There's a theme on this channel for people doing that.
Yeah. As it turned out, I sort of went down that road and then you went, oh, look what I've done. I thought, oh, okay.
We did it because you were overseas. We just didn't talk about it. I didn't.
Yeah.
I think when the new Dark Oath set, I remember sending you a link and saying, have you seen these? These are lovely. And you were like, oh my God, they're lovely. But that was at that point you weren't planning for making an army, and then neither was I, until I realised I wasn't going to paint my Bretts. Well, there was a whole stream about that and a video about that. People watching this have likely seen that, may not have. So I had a stream where I announced that I needed to paint an army in 2 weeks, and Dan and I bought almost the same stuff in some ways. The armies are a little bit different, but almost the same stuff. But yeah, back to you. You carry on talking about what your army plans for Warriors of Chaos are.
Well, to be fair, I've not spent a particularly huge amount of money. I'm planning on buying the Dark Oath army box when that drops, which should be soon. Hopefully, anyway. 2 of the Vanguard boxes for Slaves to Darkness is Vanguard, isn't it? It's the £85 job. That comes with the 5 Chaos Knights, 10 Chaos Warriors, a Lord, and then a Chariot.
Yeah,
2 of those.
Yeah, I had 2 of those as well. Yeah.
I'll need another box of Chaos Knights, and then I've already got the Chaos Sorcerer for Warhammer Plus.
Right.
So
nice.
That's
nice
2,000 points.
It is. It really is.
But I'll use one of the Lords from the Vanguard sets, obviously, and then I won't use the Big Gribbly from the Dark Oath set.
Yeah.
And I'll add the Knights on. So we unit of a Lord, a Sorcerer Lord, an Aspiring Exalted Champion. He's on a horse. 10 Knights, 5 Chosen Knights, 20 Warriors, 20 Marauders, 5 Marauder Horse, 2 Chariots, and that's plus banners and things is 2,000 points. So should be all right, and it'll be a good fun to paint and play with, and I don't care if it's any good. I'll do what I like, and paint what I like, and if I win some games, great. If I don't, well, it's fine, and it's something I can expand on later, so I can get some Chosen on foot later, or I can get myself a big Gribbly, a big dragony thing or something.
Definitely.
I can get a Hell Cannon because they're a laugh, and painting Chaos Dwarves is always giggle.
Yeah. That will have to come back. I'll be astounded if they didn't bring that back in Forge World Resin when they get around to doing Warriors of Chaos. It's a given.
Yeah, I'm
isn't
sure
it?
that'll come back. Isn't it in the book? The Hell Cannon.
Well, the stats are, but you can't
Yeah,
always
I was going to
tell
say.
what it is. But
Oh,
yeah,
I've just assumed it's going to come back. Surely it's got to.
judging by, well, we've got 3 releases now, so you can have a pretty good guess of what they're going to do and in what material as well, can't you? So yeah, it's going to be back, and it's something I will have to buy as well, for sure.
I'm being asked, what have I got a particular god theme? A non-god theme. I'm doing Undivided.
Me too.
Because I like the idea of barbarians. They're basically based on honor, martial prowess, that kind of stuff. I might include some units that are god specific later, but they'll be very much units, and they'll be more as an opportunity for painting than anything else.
Yeah.
So what I might do is like a cool unit of marauders, and maybe do them Tzeentch themes and do Zarngors or something. And
Yeah, that would be cool if you stick your sorcerer in there as well with your markers each. You get your +1 to casting, which is quite good.
Yeah, unit of chosen, but do them as Nurgle, and then use the Putrid Blight King models because they're quite big, and Burning, give them some cool kit, and then like Khorne will probably be knights. Let's be honest. And then Slanesh, I don't know. There's probably a couple of different options for that as well. So yeah, I think there'll be specific units rather than
Big fun little modelling projects, couldn't it?
Yeah, what I want it to look like is obviously the progression of, because actually, this, for those of you who may have seen it, this is the Darkness Rising. This is the Storm of Chaos book that Black Library did a number of years ago. When Storm of Chaos came out. And it talks about, obviously, Archaon almost emulating Azavar Kul, who is the Chaos protagonist in the Old World time period.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all building towards, his invasion of the Empire, Siege of Prague, all that kind of stuff. And he basically he goes up to the top gates, goes as a scrap in the realm beyond, and then comes back and basically amalgamates all these tribes to himself as he comes back down towards the Empire. I like that. So what I think is he would be the heavily martial, heavily regimented, disciplined professional army, and then all the weird and wonderfuls and the lunatics all get attracted, but they're poked to the edge of the camp and told not to share their food. So
I like that.
That's kind of how I'd want it to be. And obviously there's the hope that the Chaos Warriors, and I can't imagine they would get some really cool re-releases of resin models, maybe stuff that never was released, that was planned. They get new plastics or new resins and stuff as well, so might get a really cool big Battle Thunder Bearer. That's why I've not done one, because I'd like the idea of getting a cool one to do with maybe a new Lord. There's plenty of models in the AOS line that I can rip off. There's that new the Dark Oath themed set, but they appear to be from one of the Warhammer Plus animations that they previewed maybe 3-4. It was before I went to India, I think.
Yeah,
they showed that.
I think I know
what you
mean.
One Marauder Horseman and a couple of other cool dudes in it.
Yes, yeah, I know what you mean.
Put them in the army, use unit fillers and things like that. So there's lots of cool ideas.
There's so much to mine for it. When I was searching for stuff to put in mine, I ended up, because you couldn't get Dark Oath Savage, because that set wasn't going to be out in time for me, the new Dark Oath set, so I went for Warcry Dark Oath Savages, and then I needed another box to make up my unit of 20. I've got a unit filler now, but I got the Spire Tyrants as well. There's lots of options. You've even got the Gore Chosen kind of bit with that. Too many corn symbols, really. You have to fire them off. I wanted something look a little bit more kind of normal tribes. I quite like the idea of the normal northern folk that have got really grim, tough lives, and they sell themselves to the gods because they have to, because of by location, really. They weren't born in the cities of the Empire or Bretonia or Stalia or Tilia. They're born in these grim northern areas, so they're born into a life of sort of brutal, rough, and I want to do a whole army like that. So my intention, I suppose, because we might as well talk about it now because it fits in exactly with the same topic really. But my intention is to expand mine when that new AOS set comes out. So I've got another unit of Marauders, so I can have a very Marauder heavy army if I want to as well. So I'll probably expand that way rather than expand into the demon side like you. Mine's probably going to stay real kind of low fantasy, grim, dark, and add more humans. But
as we've discussed, this image, hopefully people can see it, this flaming doom.
Oh yes, yes.
Maybe how I look at doing my chosen for my non-aligned chosen, rather because I looked at the Varangard to do chosen knights out of, and then spoke to my mate at Dyson. He's got a Slaves of Darkness army, and they are monstrously big, like insanely big models. So there's no way you'd rank them. So I have to look at a different way of using the existing Chaos Knight models and improving upon them to.
Yes.
So I need to find ways and little bits of runes, and I want to do the battle damage and add bits and pieces on as well. And but I want to keep it quite neutral. No lacquered armor, no coloured armor, or steels and bronzes and brasses and stuff.
Yep. That's the kind of thing I'm going for as well. So, what are you saying about the ranking? Yeah, I've built mine, and it's almost back to the numbered bases thing just to get the mounted knights and the standard knights on their 30s and 30 by 60s. So yeah, the AOS chosen is not going to happen. What I might do is when they do release the Warriors of Chaos range, we know they're going to release the old Warriors of Chaos range. We can see it in the books. I quite like the old mounted Warriors of Chaos, so I might
they're cool.
Buy those and use those as the normal ones and turn my mounted knights into chosen if I wanted to, and do it a bit that way. So that's another option.
As they're not still metal.
No, they're plastics, weren't they? They had plastic ones.
They were. I think that. Did they get plastics in there? When I had my original Warriors of Chaos army, they were the same style as the newer ones. So the front shoulder with the cape at the back.
Pretty sure they were plastic. Someone might tell us in the chat, but pretty sure they were. Well, I just spotted a moment ago. Sean says that his mate who owns the store tells him that it's the RRP for the battalion boxes is 100. So
cool.
Seems a reasonable price. Games Workshop reasonable price. We all have our own choices on what's reasonable and what's not. But for a Games Workshop starter army, essentially, it's not a bad amount of money for what 60 or 70 or 70
it's
models.
An interesting price point, isn't it? It's taking it straight back to the early 2000s when you got your Christmas boxes.
Yeah, and you're probably about the same amount of miniatures for about the same amount of money as well. So I know people who complain about Games Workshop being too expensive don't like that kind of thing, but that's part of the reality of it, isn't it? There you go, Jordan Sorcery really likes the sound of your army, Dan.
I've painted now, haven't I?
Yeah, you best do. I just thought it really made me chuckle about how independently, because we often have similar kinds of palettes for some of our painting. You paint way better than I do, but some of our palettes, especially our metallics and stuff, we use similar kind of colour combinations. And I just thought it was hilarious when you came back and we started talking about this the other day over Messenger. And I said, well, you told me you'd chosen your arm, and you sent me a picture just of a Warrior of Chaos artwork picture. And I was like, have you seen my stream, Dan? And you're like, yeah, I caught it. So it's just independent that we have come up with very, very similar armies based around 2 Vanguard boxes, me with a couple of extras. And in some ways, quite similar themes to start off with. Yours will grow very different to mine, so they'll go off in different directions. But that initial start of 2,000 points, you're right. The reason I went for it is because it's easy, it's relatively cheap, you've got a low model count, and it's cool and fun to paint within a colour palette that I like. So yeah, I think we're going to have to hit some doubles events somewhere, aren't we? They're going to have to join forces, or even if it's just for a bit, maybe a big game at Warhammer World or something, with both of our armies, hire 2 tables and do a big game against someone else. That would be brilliant. In fact, Jordan, I know Jordan.
Off Marienburg.
Oh no, he hasn't, not painted. He hasn't, but he's got. When I play him, I think he's bringing his Chaos Demons He's got some Age of Sigmar Chaos
Oh.
Demons that he's going to put on movement tray, so he could join in with us as well. We could find 3 people to face
That's
off
fine
against
on our
us.
side. That's
Have a
absolutely
big,
fine.
a
No
big
problem.
6,000 point chaos battle. Anyway, thinking ahead, but we got to get them painted first anyway. I've got
I've
to
not
get mine
recovered
painted.
from the original Warhammer Fantasy Battle Chaos Demon book yet. I'm sorry, it's just not happened. I think I've still got PTSD over that.
Oh, the original. You mean this? You mean
Yeah.
the seventh edition Demons book was a
Yeah,
bit tasty,
when they
wasn't
said that it was Demon Hammer Fantasy Battle, not anything else. Yeah, if you chose to play anything else, you got points for turning up. Nothing else.
it? Yeah.
I don't have good memories of that, and they were always badly painted. During that entire time period, I never played a fully painted or well painted Chaos Demon army, and they're always rotten as well. There's one thing about getting your plans beaten off you without, even if you really try, you still get smashed in by the rules. It's worse when it's an army that's not even painted. It makes everything so much worse.
Yeah, I remember the end of seventh when it was all demons and dark elves, and yeah, it was lizard men were quite good for a while as well. Anyway, yeah, I'm really looking forward to your project tonight. You'll take your time doing it and make my speed painted 2.5-week army, 2-week army look terrible by the end of it. But I'm really looking forward to seeing you get involved and getting passionate about building units and things. And it's going to be good. It's going to be good to follow.
I need to order some bases. That's the next thing to do. Although I am at Warhammer World next Tuesday, so I'm hoping that they'll have some in stock there.
Go hot. I know you like them to match the square edges, but
I do.
Hobby Heaven, they're so much cheaper and they're really nice, and they do all the new sizes now as well. And they're almost next day delivery.
Retention won't allow it. I want them perfectly square. I know it's awful.
Dearie me. Unfortunately, I'm not buying that Orc box, otherwise I could have probably given you all the bases out of it and used Hobby Heaven ones, because I've got so many now. But yeah, I think the next box I'll be buying will maybe the Dwarven Holes one. We'll see. That's later on in the show. Right, I'm conscious of the time. Have you got any more stuff you've been up to, or we?
Apart from watching Shogun, which I insist everyone goes and watches immediately because it's brilliant. That's it really. Just caught up on telly.
Cool. Well, I'll quickly talk about my bits, and then we can go on to the Adepticon reveals. So let's get the pictures back up again. And the first picture you'll see is my. It's a much more advanced stage than that now. I just haven't updated my picture. So that is the 2 boxes you've been talking about. Funnily enough, we've got plus some Chaos Hounds. So yeah, I bought a set of Chaos Hounds as well. But they are a bit of a. You can see already from the knights together. I didn't even have a movement tray from at that point, so I had to blue tack the bases down in formation, and then build the knights so that they fit. And the lord's on a horse as well, so slightly different build to yours a little bit. My BSB's on foot, and in the knights in 3 ranks of 7 there, so there's basically 21 in that unit, including the BSB. Got marauders at the back, which I showed on the stream, and I've done 2 chariots, 1 normal and 1 as a gore beast, and then my level 4 and a level 2. And I've made use of the realm gore something, a ritualist, which is the range that you can mine from chaos because of AOS and Sigmar, AOS and Warcry, all the actual warbands and stuff. There's so many things like the one you mentioned, some different warbands. There's so many little quirky models. So I've got the realm gore person. That's too much in the distance for people to see really at the back, and then I used the one of the miniatures from the Dark Oath Savages as my level 2 as well. So yeah, they are built that as it stands. Everything has got quite a lot of paint on it now. We've got all the metallics have done through the airbrush, and I've blacked out or browned out all of the flat colours, so all the capes and all of the horse's flesh and that kind of stuff, so either grey or black on everything else, including sort of a base colour on the bases as well. So we are very nearly at the point now where I go in and do some stippling and doing some dry brushing before doing lots of glazes, and then an oil wash. So I'm still hopeful. I've still got a lot to do, but I'm still hopeful that's been done. So yeah, it's a lot further on than that. I'll pop some more updated pictures in the Discord later on over the weekend if I can remember to do it. So there's that. and that's been kind of filling all my hobby time. I did paint one other thing, and that is going to be this weekend's video. Won't be out on Friday as normal because we're on Thursday now, and I don't want to put two things out 2 days in a row. But Black Orc tutorial, he will be out Saturday morning at 9 AM in GMT, so that'll be the next tutorial video. It needed to get something out on the weekend they launch, so that was quite fun to do. And I didn't use an airbrush for this one. I made it quite simple, so all the metals, same colors we use a lot. Dan will talk about using, well, I do, about the 3 stages of that decayed metal or the black metal. Then I use Game Air silver, but using those through just dry brushing techniques for all the metallics. So it should be something that even a really new painter can get to a basic level. So it's a little bit more aimed at beginners, that paint job, and hopefully it doesn't look like that in the picture. That's just all the little tricks and effects and things you can do. So that video is kind of leaning heavily into how you can paint Black Orcs very easily and make your bases look good, and then the miniatures look good. And then I wanted to kind of talk about something else. I've been given some stuff basically. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the last one or not. So I was given, a few weeks back, I was given some terrain by my next door neighbour, who's also a YouTuber, the KV Forge. You want to go and check his channel out. He does lots of terrain builds and things. Super nice bloke. And he gave me this incredible terrain. So he gave me the old Citadel scenery era, so for the 1990s era, that hard foam stuff. He gave me a Chaos Ruin Tower. And he gave me a Forge World, which I haven't really shown off yet. I haven't got a picture here. A Forge World forge, or blacksmith's forge, which is beautiful, completely unbuilt. So that'll be a tutorial. And then he knocked on my door this week. It's stunning, isn't it? It's both worth a decent amount of money.
It wasn't Forge World. It was Warhammer Forge. It's
Warhammer Forge.
It was that old.
Well, it's made at Forge World. The branding was Warhammer Forge because it was the first time they did stuff that was for Warhammer.
That's super rare. It's like insanely rare.
It is. It's amazing. It's such an amazing kit, and I will do a full tutorial on that one because it's so beautiful. But he knocked on my door again the other day and said, and I thought, oh, he's come to collect a parcel, haven't got it or something. And then he just said, I've got some, been to my parents, I've got some more terrain if you want it. I was like, yeah, of course. If do you want any money for it? No, you sure? He said, yeah, and he's brought out this box. So this was the first section. So we've got those plastic, these are plastic rather than foam hills. If you've hung around a GW, you'd have seen those. So 3 of those. So I'm definitely sorted for hills now. We've got a few trees there, and then there's, I'm using my cursor, no one can see me moving my cursor, I know. We've got the Arcane Ruins, I think they were called.
Yes.
I used to own it, and I can't, I think Jacob's got the remnants of it, like two of the pillars, I think, that I found at the bottom of a bits box. But again, I'm going to do a little video on that one because that one's cool. And then the next picture is the rest of the stuff he gave me terrain-wise. So that, I think that's potentially 2 of the 4 to 5 mana sets. So there's 2 chapels, there's 2 towers, there's 2 of the buildings that go in between, 2 whole sets of all the walls and things that came with it. Because one's on sprue and one's not. It's just an insane amount of plastic that's currently out of production. So generous. Something I've been wanting to get for ages, and when they do come up on eBay, they've been too expensive. And yeah, just wow, to be honest with you. Really, yeah, just blown away, and I can't wait to do some content with them, because I definitely will be. They're such beautiful kits. I'm hoping that these will come back out. I imagine at some point the priority's got to be getting armies out at the moment for Games Workshop. I'm pretty sure that's why we've not seen terrain. But once they've got those armies out, I'm sure at some point we'll see some terrain, and it makes sense that these 7th and 8th edition kits get brought back, I imagine. And they've got to be still in a state when they can reproduce these. And anyway, beautiful kits, love them, have owned them before, got rid of them, bought a chapel, which you'd have seen in my Mordheim videos. Just amazingly generous. And then on top of that, there were a couple of other bits in the box that he said I could have, and he gave me. This is a metal Chaos Dragon. Needs a bit of TLC, but again, that's going to be amazing project to paint. I'm looking forward to doing that. He's so diddy now compared to if you put a modern day Chaos Warrior on him. I'd probably do that to its head, to be honest with you. But I'm going to paint it. It's just such a cool thing. And then also, wait for the picture to come up. an original black coach as well, which is just yeah, amazing. So never owned this, never painted one of these, and I'll do this as a video. I love painting sort of older miniatures and things for feature videos. I think that'll be a really good thing. So I need to strip them back and clean them up, but this will be a painting video at some point in the future as well. I just think it's really, really awesome. I can't thank him enough, really. It's just such a fantastic thing, you know, generous thing to do. You know, he's I'm sure he knows how much it's worth. He's a lot younger than me, so he's probably far more savvy than I am with those things. And he's just super generous, and I'm genuinely blown away by his generosity, and I will be making some content out of it. So the only thing I can really do is say, please go and check out his channel and subscribe and comment on his channel, because he's some really good terrain builds on there, and he makes stuff, and I think he does a bit of Turnip 28 and plays skirmish games. I know he's looking at Silver Bayonets and things. So up until now, we've not played any of the same games, so we kind of we briefly chat on once in a while, but not too much detail. But if he picks up a game that I play, maybe we'll have to get a game at some point. But do check his channel out anyway. So that's my hobby, really. Let's go back and just double check the chat. And then we'll go and talk about the main topic of the show. And this is why we can't call this a hobby hour, because we've just done an hour and we haven't actually got to the topic. But I'll go back and see what's going on in the chat, and then we'll go on to the main sort of topic. I don't think there's too much to comment on, which is all good. Sure, I'm definitely getting this Dwarven box. Yeah, I'm going to be very excited when we start talking about it. I'm saving the Dwarven holds bit to the last as well, just to keep you all here. But also, I'm a save the best to last kind of person. Whether it's on my if I'm eating a roast dinner, there's roast potatoes and some chicken left at the end, and I don't leave the sprouts to the end. I'll eat them, but they definitely don't get left to the end. So and Fox One is asking Jordan how the landship is. He's not got it yet. It's sitting on my painting desk over there, and I will be handing it to him in person when I see him a week tomorrow, if everything goes well, nothing goes wrong, for a game at Warhammer World. So that will be cool as well. Steve, my neighbour, just gives me grief. Yeah, I've got very nice neighbours. So I can't complain at all. Especially, I just couldn't believe it, and I'm trying to tell my wife excitedly about what I've been given, and she's kind of like, "That's very generous," but she doesn't get how generous what he's given me is. She just doesn't get the kind of the level of generosity. It's not a couple of someone giving you a box with a few old minis in or something they had in a loft. Is, you know, this is a current war gamer who clearly knows what that's worth, just wants it gone and says, I'm going to give it to a charity shop, you have it. And yeah, I will definitely make some good stuff out of it, and it'll do the channel very well. But anyway, let's move on. Shall we talk all about Adepticon, Dan? So I'm just going to make sure that we are on the right tabs. Luckily, there's nothing embarrassing, any tabs open that shouldn't be. And then we'll go and have a little look at the review, sort of the overall Adepticon reveals. So I thought what to start with. We're not going to watch any of the trailers and things because I saw some comments the other day. I know people do live reviews on these, but then other people have had hits on their channel for copyright for playing stuff. I'm not going to risk doing that. AOS 4th edition seems to be the worst kept secret. It seems like it's been known for a year that 4th edition was coming this year, but not just that. It seems like it's been talked about. We know there's going to be Stormcast, and it seems to me that Skaven's been talked about for a long time, Dan, at least before Christmas. It just feels like the worst kept secret in the world. We've had some leaks this last week or so. The trailer's really quite cool. It's worth watching even if you don't. I don't play Age of Sigmar, but I enjoyed the trailer, and I watched the whole kind of rundown of the Adepticon thing today when I was working. It's quite good. There was interviews with all the designers of each of the things that they showed off, and it's well worth just listening to what they say. It's quite good. I thought it was one of the better ones. It's clearly all pre-recorded. I'm guessing just played live at Adepticon, because I imagine it's all filmed in the studio back in Nottingham. But compared, and I'm not knocking any of them, but compared to the Fest one last year when they did it live, which they obviously had to do it live in the big auditorium, I quite like the way this one was done. It was nicely broken up, succinct, showed you the teaser, did an interview with the people involved afterwards, and I thought it worked really well. So New Age of Sigmar 4th edition. You haven't seen this, have you, Dan? You didn't watch the videos or so, but it's.
I've watched the trailer, but I've not watched the
kind of this discussion afterwards. Yeah, I thought the discussion was quite interesting. I don't play the game, but it sounds like the rules are changing a lot. This is the first big change in the game, and that means each army's going to have new rules as well. So this sounds like the first real big change. So I'm guessing that's going to be really interesting. There's going to be people that are going to love it. There's going to be people that hate the change, which is always the way. Just sound like they keep talking about Spearhead, like a slimmed down version of playing the game as well. Playing within an hour, they were pushing that hard. And I like the sound of that, to be honest with you. I still think, as much as I want Jacob to play Old World with me and he's got this big orc army, I'm pretty sure that if he played a few games of AOS, he'd probably end up preferring it, just because I think the smaller figure count would suit him better. And my youngest loves painting miniatures more than Jacob does. And when he wants to play a game, as much as I want them to play square-based games, I think trying to get them involved in very small versions of AOS is more likely where I'm going to go than I do with Fantasy First. But it's there's an awful lot of info there about the rule changes and things, and I'm not going to go into this in great detail because we don't cover it on the channel a lot. But if you're interested in AOS, I'd be really interested in your thoughts on it, whether that's in the chat now or just comments on the video afterwards. But it sounds really positive from a layman, so to speak, and I do like where it seems to be going with the lore. They seem to be adding more and more human elements to it, which I felt was missing at the beginning, and one of the main reasons that I kind of didn't feel the draw to get into it. And even with the Stormcast, and we talked about this before we started recording, didn't we, Dan, that they're really leaning in heavily to how depressing it is to die and be reborn as a Stormcast, and almost that humanity that was missing from Stormcast they seem to be kind of bringing that back a little bit as well, which I quite like. I think adding some humanity there really helps. I think Horus Heresy book series did that for Marines, Dan. For me, I don't know about for you. We started to see a little bit of, obviously we saw the opposite to humanity as well at the same time, but we saw a little bit of humanity, even if it was told through the eyes of humans. And if they can kind of capture that with AOS as well. I just listened to them talking about where they're taking the lore, and I thought that actually, for the first time ever, I thought that actually sounds quite interesting, sounds quite cool. And I've always liked the minis, most of them. I'm not really a fan of the Osiric Bone Reapers, but you know, that's the way it is. But anyway, check out that, watch the interview, I'd recommend it. I think it's pretty good. If you got anything you want to add on that, Dan, before I skip on to the next one? I can't see you right now because of all the other windows I've got open on my screen.
It's good fun though.
You could be putting a funny face and I wouldn't know.
The trailer's really good. It captures the humour of the Skaven, which I really liked, and their general aesthetic really nicely. So yeah, I mean, of the two forces that potentially be in this box, and let's be honest, they are going to be in this box, the Skaven sound more interesting. I've always enjoyed them as a faction.
Yeah,
I think they're a lot of fun. There's a humour to them that they've kept ever since, Word Dot, really, when they first were fleshed out in Warhammer Fantasy Battle. They've retained that, which is lovely. Yes,
yeah. I mean, I'd be the same. I can't wait to see the contents of the box. I think, I'm sure they're not going to. If Games Workshop wanted to send me a copy of the new Sigmar when it comes out, I would be very happy to paint it up and try some games out with Jacob. That'd be really interesting, especially that smaller spearhead thing. And I think from what they said, this starter box basically gives you 2 spearhead forces. I'm up for that. I'd really like to give that a go. Whether I kind of get into it in a big way, I doubt it. I think if I had a set though, I'd be really torn between wanted to put the Skaven on rounds or get some squares for them, but again, we don't know what the size is going to be like. I mean, it's worth mentioning now because it links to it, is that I've got some concerns that the Skaven are going to disappear, obviously, from the web store, the current Skaven that's on there, and because they're a legacy army, we know they're not coming back soon. So it's almost, I haven't got the money to spend on all the Skaven that are available in the current Skaven range for Age of Sigmar, but there's a bit of me saying I did want to do a Skaven army at some point, and do I need to buy all that stuff now? Because I'm still hopeful that these 9 factions will launch and this will all do very well. Maybe we'll even get Cathay and Kislev, and it's still doing well, and they'll move that timeline on 20 years or so, and we'll be up to the Great War of Chaos, and then with that they'll bring back Dark Elves and Skaven and Demons and other factions, even if it's not all of them. I mean, Ogres will be important because of the location of them near Cathay, if they do bring out Cathay as well. That's talked about in the rulebook law. So there's the potential to bring all those back, and in 3 or 4 years time, 5 years time maybe, who knows, a lot of these factions will have been brought out as new in Age of Sigmar, and they will be free to be released to Old World in terms of miniature ranges, which we've kind of read between the lines and worked how that might be what's going on. So there's a bit of me that says, oh, I just want to go and spend some money at Games Workshop and store up some of those Skaven kits, because they could just go out of production and then their eBay value for Old World is going to be silly. It may well be the replacements are even better, but maybe they're that little bit bigger and that becomes a problem. And I really like some of the stuff that came out in 8th edition for Skaven. Just stands up really well, really does, doesn't it? I just don't know, I don't feel it needs replacing, but I almost want it to be replaced so it can come back for Old World.
Island Blood.
Yeah.
Is it Island Blood?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff for that was awesome.
Yeah, just really nice.
I still really want the Rat Ogre that's largely unplayed with. Obviously, there's 2 Rat Ogres in that box set. One of them's just got bandages, the other one's got all the metal arms and bits and pieces. Stuff
yeah, I think I know that one.
I want the bandage one. I still want that from the Modern Warband, but I'm not paying 30 quid for him, which is about the going rate. I don't mind that much. Yeah,
they're lovely. There was a plastic screaming bell, wasn't there? That's a dual kit that came out.
Doubled with the plague sensor.
I mean, it's just an insane kit that stands up now. That if they replace it, then it's just going to be gone until they bring it back out for the Old World, and I'm sure they will at some point. But yeah,
and kind of abomination as well.
Yeah, exactly. And there's been, so I want to go and buy it all, knowing that it could go off out of production for a while. And once I've done my, we'll talk about it in the end, but I'm going to do Dwarves, I'm going to do Empire. That's probably where I'd want to go if I was going to do another army. After that would probably be Skaven, but it's a lot of money to invest in something just in case. So we will have to see. Anyway, so we'll go on to the next tab, and we have again more Age of Sigmar, and this kind of ties in a little bit, I suppose, when you're talking about maybe having a big gribbly, a big beast for a lord. If you don't want to go full dragon or something, this could be it. You can have a chaos mount, can you? I don't know whether this would still be too big. You could even probably run this as a dragon, couldn't you? If you really wanted to. But this is, I wrote her name down somewhere. I listened to it. Abraxia, yeah. She's so. These are Varangard, aren't they? So they're all basically chaos lords. But again, from what we were talking about for our potential army projects, there's room here for delving into some of this, and this comes as a unit, and these are all nasty lord style. There's some character models, but that model is beautiful. Someone in the chat, does anyone remember the Chaos Lord on Dragon, the brand new one that was, I'm sure it was shown off at a preview last year? Did it come out? What's going on with that? Because it looks stunning. I remember we talked about it on a hobby hour, Dan. I think there would be a picture up of it as well, but I can't remember what it was. So I don't know if it's come out and I couldn't find it, or it's not out yet. But that would be, I'm sure a lot of those will get snapped up, because I think while it's going to take up half your army, I think dragons are pretty strong in the Old World, and a chaos lord on them would be the way to go. Now, would I run that in a 2,000 point army for a friendly game? Probably not, actually. It's not the way I'll go, but I'd want to add it in for a huge game. So we played that big 6,000 point game or something. It'd be fun to have something that big on there. But anyway, I just thought that was a stunning model, and that's going to be, someone's going to paint that for Golden Demon at some point, aren't they? It'll be next year now, but Just thought that that's a really, really cool model. And I listened to Phil Kelly talking about the lore on it, and it just sounds really good, to be honest with you. It's the first time, as I said, that I've been remotely interested in Age of Sigmar lore. You got anything you want to add on that, Dan, before I click to the next tab?
I just think it's a cracking model. Obviously, possibly needs wings.
For a yeah, if you want to make it into a dragon, then yes. But yeah, it depends how much money you want to spend on it. You could definitely convert something there to make that into a smaller dragon, couldn't you? If you didn't want to go too crazy. But you've also got, you can have a chaos beast, kind of chaos mount. It just depends how big the base of this is and how big the base is in an old world. I'm using my iPad to read the chat, so I'm not going to get the book up there. But yeah, cool model. I'm sure someone will use it for something or other. And then we have the Underworlds new season starter set. And again, I don't play Underworlds. This is something I could probably get my wife playing, because she likes kind of slightly more competitive style, less fluffy games. She's not really into her fantasy and things, but she'd like the mechanics of this. She'd like the way the cards are and things. The miniatures could be counters for her, but she'd enjoy the game if it's a good game. But the miniatures, have you seen the miniatures, Dan? They are...
Yeah,
I think they're cool.
They're very out there. They're very, very out there. For I like some of them. I think the two sort of leaders are great.
Yeah.
The guy on his brother's I think shoulder.
Yeah, Master Blaster.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a definite sort of Krang thing going on there. They're cool, and they're obviously ghouls are very much in flavour at the moment, aren't they? The old what are they called? Flesh-eater courts.
Yes, yeah, I'll script onto those now. I mean, yeah, they're cool. They never appeal to me quite as much. I really like that kind of grimdark nature of the other guys, but they are cool, and they're supposed to be normal humans, aren't they? They're supposed to be almost zealot like. Yeah, I think the idea behind them.
Scorched by potential arrival or disappearance of the Sigmarines.
Yeah, I think they've been struck by lightning. I think that's the Brethren of the Bolt. Yeah. The idea is they've all been struck by a bolt of lightning, or some of them believe they have. I think, and maybe some of them just been hit on the head. I think that's what Phil Kelly said. I just thought it was all quite amusing, and again, whether it's, I just see these human, grim, sort of almost grim darking of Sigmar, which just seem to be missing. Yeah, absolutely. I just love it. It feels like the Sigmar version of sort of Flagellants or your Grail, Reliquary or something like that. It's just like that their version of it. I thought they were really interesting miniatures to paint. I've never played the game, but a bit of cool fun. But next thing, Warcry again. I picked up the starter, not done anything with it. I still plan at some point to have a warband so that I can play it for quick games, because I think it would be a useful thing to do. I haven't got around to that. My warband I didn't have lined up. I've just turned into half a unit for Warhammer the Old World, so I might have to go and look at something new again. But now these they don't do it for me. I'm not a fan of the Ossiarch Bone Reapers things. Just not for me.
And the Centaur's daft. Sorry, this particular preview left me so cold. The Ossiarchs are just an odd design aesthetic in general, and I think the Sylvaneth are so hilariously over-engineered in this. There's just something going on with them that I can't put my finger on, but I don't like it. To each their own, of course.
I like the lore for the Sylvaneth. Did you hear about the lore? I don't know if you've read the article a little bit, but the lore was quite cool. I think the idea is they hear the Everqueen's song, but they hear it distorted, so they're almost kind of half mutated, and they're trying to get back to her to be cured, which I thought was quite cool. But I know what you mean. They're going to be hard to paint, aren't they?
And there's a lot of bees, and it just takes me straight to the Nicolas Cage remake of The Wicker Man. Not the bees, not the bees.
Okay, I've not. I've not seen it. I've not seen it. It sounds like it's something. Nicolas Cage and Wicker Man don't sound like they go together in perfect harmony. So,
Oh, if ever there's a film that requires a Nicolas Cage level of overacting, it's The Wicker Man. I mean, given that Christopher Lee wasn't around to be Lord Summerside anymore, although I think he may have still been alive when the remake was made, thinking back on it, that's a film that requires a bit of overacting, and he can't do overacting better than Nicolas Cage.
well, I agree. But yeah, not for me. They're beautiful
No,
miniatures. These Sylvan F. The other ones I'm not a fan, but yeah, not for me. Not interested. And then we've got 40k. Not much 40k in this one, which is strange. But new Space Marines. I suppose this is a big release. New codex for Chaos Space Marines. I'm
I
just
find there's something a bit weird about the one on foot. He reminds me too much of a Chaos Warrior, and I know that's what they are, but
yeah. I'm with
there's
you.
something about the shoulder proportions and stuff that seems a bit odd.
Yeah. You could stick that on a square base and change the weapon, or even just trim off the piping and fill in the exhaust bit on the, and you could make that into a Chaos Warrior, couldn't you? You will probably see that, maybe even in Age of Sigmar rather than Old World, but I'm sure you'll see that in a non-40k army with a few bits trimmed off in here and now. I'm sure there's a gun and a grenade that needs to come off there, but it's definitely convertible.
Yeah. And the jump pack one's got in. I don't know what it is about GW recently, but they've not been able to do a decent jump pack model for a while. None of them they've done. The
I don't
Marine ones
mind
they
it,
did.
but I've never really liked the 40k aesthetic for Chaos Marines, not the modern day ones anyway.
No.
It's never quite done it for me. I'm guessing the Alpha Legion paint job one, I don't mind him so much actually. Quite like that
The
model.
lightning claws are better than the axe plasma, but for me, these fair enough. You could convert your own. You could use the upgrade kits from the kill team.
Mm-hmm.
They've been crying out for a new Chaos Terminator Lord or new Sorcerer Lord in Terminator armor for so long. It looks so aged now, especially next door to the new, or at least more relatively recent, Chaos Terminators.
Yeah.
These are two models. They're a swing and a miss for me, unfortunately. But
Yeah, I
I'm
like
sure people will be happy with them, but not me.
really like the blue on that Night Lords scheme. Very nicely done. Paint scheme's amazing. So I like the blue on that. I like the model that's painted as the Alpha Legion colour. I think he's cool. But yeah, I think if you're into your Chaos Space Marines, you're going to love it. But yeah, I think it's just one of those, whether you're into the aesthetic of Chaos Space Marines or not. Anyway, I prefer the toned down versions that you saw in Heresy. But again, another big release. There's a lot of big releases in this reveal. And another big one, I suppose, is another starter set. It's another new season one, but we've got a new kill team. Again, kill team, something that doesn't super interest me, but it's the sort of game I'd like to play. If I had a friend who played it and wanted to play, I'd enjoy the task of painting a team and playing games with them, if that makes sense. Would I go into it? Would I sit and watch loads of videos on it? Would I do loads of background reading on it and things? No. But would I paint a kill team so I could play some games with a friend? Yeah, absolutely. And would I play it with my son if I had a set? Then yeah, I probably would, to be honest with you. And out of all the sets, I quite like the look of this one. I think these miniatures are cool. You got any thoughts on the miniatures?
I don't know. They're all right. I prefer when it comes to Leagues of Votan. I prefer their more battle line units where they're in the armor and stuff.
Okay.
These guys look a little bit like someone squashed the guys from Syndicate.
I prefer these. This reminds me a little bit. This is closer to squats. You see, the biker squats.
They are, but they're so square because of the flaps on those coats. They are very square, and I mean, I quite like the modified Brood Brothers that are evidently influenced from the Cadian box. I think they're quite nice. I think it's an interesting way of recycling some of the older miniatures, like the Brood Lord, etc., as well, as per the article. But yeah, the Votan aren't doing much for me. Obviously, they appear to be the guys on foot from the hover trikes.
Okay, I really like them. I think they're really cool.
It's all outridery type chaps, but they don't do much for me, I'm afraid. And to be honest, in a world where the squat prospectors exist for Necromunda, all of the Votan stuff kind of leaves me a little bit cold because those prospector models are really cool.
Yeah, that I can understand. So I like this, the Brotherhood as well. I like, to be fair, really like both sets in this, which I don't always. Is usually one I quite like the look of. But yeah, I quite like both sets in these. I think they're cool enough. Yeah, again, at some point, if my son was really interested in it and wanted to play a skirmish game set in a 40k universe, I can see me saying yes, because let's do it, because there's a low model count. I don't have to paint too much, and he wouldn't paint much either. So I'd end up doing both. So I could play it. I can see it as a game I'd like to play. Does it excite me the same way as other games? Absolutely not. But definitely an excuse to paint some cool models. And I really like those Votan. They are very, very cool. And I like the G-Stealer stuff as well. I mean, that Magos there, is Magos the right name? I'm trying to scratching my my memory there. Isn't that the same pose as at the front of a certain Codex edition or something? Looks very familiar.
The Magos, it's very similar, but it also looks like one of the old classic bits of artwork where
that's what I'm thinking of. The
door.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Lightning's arcing down and it's catching some Terminators, and he's almost illuminated from within.
Yes, I think that's the one I'm getting at. I'd have to.
I want to say it's a Mark Gibbons one. It's a black and grey.
I think so. But it seems very familiar, and I'll be interested to know whether that's what. Yeah, I really like this set. To be honest with you, I don't know what the gameplay's like. I really like both sets of miniatures. It does look really cool. I'm not going to lie, it does look good. I would be interested in that. Again, I'm sure they're not going to send me a set ever, but if they did, I would paint those and try it out with Jacob. So I may give that a go at some point. Out of all of the recent Kill Team 2-player starters, I like both of those teams, so they look good. Right, let's move on to the big stuff. In my opinion. Well, no, mate, that's what I'm waiting for. I don't know if everyone's waiting for it. But I kind of guessed that we were going to see something Dwarven. I always struggle to spell it that way. I always want to add a V. That was my guess, because we saw those dice leak, didn't we, way back in, might have even been December now. So we knew that the likelihood that dwarves would be on the way relatively close to the sort of launch of the game, unless they've ordered all the dice in bulk. I suppose it's possible, isn't it? If they got them from one manufacturer, it is possible that they're all sitting in the warehouse. But if we assume that they haven't done that,
oh no, someone would have leaked it by now if they're all
and that's why I thought that they're not all there. So I got a feeling that as soon as they were leaked, we knew. I mean, some people were guessing they might be the third faction, and when we saw orcs and goblins, I think it was just a safe bet that dwarves are a really good shout for the next. Balances out too good, too evil. They're very much an ancient enemy of the orcs and goblins and things. It just fitted quite well. And you didn't want to put another good human faction out. You could have done elves. I think elves would have been the other. If you were going to go something, I think you had to go dwarves or elves here.
Or Empire.
Yeah, but that's two human factions then, isn't it? Brett's, and I think Empire's got to wait a bit. So I think it had to be a good faction. It had to be dwarves or elves, and because we saw those dice leaked. Anyway, we know what it is, so there's no point in debating why. So we obviously know what these new battalion boxes are going to be the way now. I think this one's quite good in terms of the contents. So you're not. There's a good chance you're not going to need any more normal core. Might even cover you depending on how many gyrocopters and things, but I think that's not bad. I've got a box of 6th edition. In fact, I've got 32 6th edition plastic dwarves. I think I've shown it before on one of my streams or something or other. One sealed, and
just over your shoulder.
It is. It's not on screen at the moment, so people can't see that. I might reach and grab it. That's what I've got. Let me flick onto this, turn off this thing here, still sealed. They come in boxes 16. So this was the previous plastics, 6th edition time. before those newer ones came out, and they came out with the 6.5 / 7th edition dwarf book that came out right at the end of 6th edition. And there we go. We're off screen again now, Dan. So you can pick your nose again. Those so I've got those. I think I might make those into my warriors, the ones I've got, and I've got, say, another 16 that are sitting in stripper that aren't new in a box. So I might make those into my warriors. And then if I buy this set, my plan for my dwarves is to try and get some of my favourite classic metal models back again. I had a metal dwarven army, and I got rid of it, regret it. I've said that a million times on this channel in one video or stream or podcast to another. But I want to play dwarves again. I just like playing with dwarves, and I got rid of my 3D printed army just because, bizarrely, it seems that apart from playing my son, all my other games at the moment seem to be at Warhammer World. Even though I'm 2 hours away, it just seems to be the way at my stage in life, arranging games with people and meeting somewhere like there seems to be more likely than playing locally. I'm not getting to club, etc, etc. So I'm more likely to chat with people, have my Warhammer friends online, people I podcast with, and all those kind of things, chat, meet up for a game, and it seems to be Warhammer World, because why not? So I wanted an army that I could take there, really, and I want to take my son there. So I did get rid of my 3D printed one just because of that reason. So I might buy this when it comes out, because it would kind of tide me over, and then I can slowly, as I can afford it, replace with the metals, because I don't think as yet they're going to bring back all of the metals I want, but it will depend on what we get, really, because there's going to be a lot more stuff announced, isn't there? But it's a good little set, this. So that's 66 miniatures, 32 dwarf warriors, 32 quarrelers, also going to be built as thunderers. So that's quite a lot of quarrelers stroke thunderers. It really, really is. So, and then you've got your 32 warriors. You can build them, if I remember right, Dan, I think you should build them as longbeards. You used to have different head options. So I would potentially build them as longbeards. I think you can build them. I'm sure they said in the video as well you can build some of them as rangers. So with this set and the plastics I've got, that takes care of pretty much everything apart from your hammers and your iron breakers, etc. And then I can make a decision around whether I get the newer plastics, which I'm not sure whether I like enough, whether I want the old metals, and we'll see what they come out with. But Dwarven Mansion holds, beautiful stuff. Another 40-page book. We got an idea of what's going to be in there. We're going to get reference cards and things that I will desperately be trying to get. And then we have the new miniatures, and I love this. I think it's stunning. And this is the Dwarf Lord and Shield Bearers, because you're probably, I don't know, you're behind me, aren't you, Dan? Because you're only watching what's actually on the screen on the stream, even though you can hear me, what I'm saying now. You can't. You're watching behind. So the dwarf, this is there's 2 models in this kit. Well, there's 5 actually. So you've got 3 Shield Bearers and the Lord on there, and then I believe this guy here is a second Lord in the same kit. So you get an extra model in there. I don't know whether you could convert one as a BSB or you just have them as separate things. I don't know. I think you. I don't think you can just make one or the other. I think the idea is you get both. The kit allows for one great weapon.
Imagine one will be a lord, one will be a thane.
He calls them dwarf lords, so I think the design is, the idea is you can make them, but you can obviously call one a thane, couldn't you? I'm just working out whether there's any dual parts. Now, his feet look flat on the ground, so I think from what they said, these are 2 miniatures. You get the standard lord, and you get the lord on shields, which is just, I love that lord on shield. It just looks amazing. And that's on a bigger footprint now. I think it's a 50mm square. You know me, I'd probably magnetise it so he could sit on a normal base. So if you don't want to take him on the shield bearers, but just beautiful, beautiful models. I know not everyone likes them because they're modernised and they don't fit the older aesthetic. And like I said, I've already said I'm a little bit unsure about the stuff that came out in 8th edition. But I've never owned them.
It was the iron breakers with the guns that got me.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that unit. I don't know how good they are, but
always reminds me of the cavity creeps from the old adverts?
Yes. Yeah. Oh god. But yeah, I don't know whether I like this kit or not. I may well try and get them. We'll see what happens. But I do really like these. What they look like next to the others, because they are big. They do look tall, but what they look like next to maybe a 4th or 5th edition metal, I'm not sure. 5th, 6th edition metal. And then you've got 2 resin kits. You've got the Thane with the handgun, which again, another
is awesome.
It is amazing, isn't it? It is. These character models are just incredible. And then, of course, Ungrim Iron Fist. Wow.
I'm not sure whether it's Ungrim or the handgun Thane that are my favourite model. I can't be sure.
No, I'm not. I think I like both of those and the guy on the shield bearers, if I'm honest with you, just as much.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's great, but I know there's something about... I think it may be the handgun the more I look at it.
Yeah, the face is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Oath Stone's fantastic as well.
They're just stunning. Really, 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 really stunning models. And then you got your returning kits. I've always liked this guy, which was the Rune Priest, the 8th edition Rune Priest. Never had an issue with that model. Always quite liked him. And then you've got so these are the standard warriors, which you can have with great weapons or shields and standard. As long as they've still got the head options for the long beards, I think that they could be useful. They're okay. I don't dislike these, but there was something about them that I don't know, just didn't excite me the same way. But maybe I'll like them. I've owned them all before and used them before. I replaced them for metals before. So all the stuff that you can get in your that battalion box you can buy separately. Yeah, great stuff. And then these are the newer ones you were talking about, and I do forget the name of them, but I don't like those at all. And I wouldn't field them in my army, regardless of how good they are.
I wasn't sure about the new hammerers either.
And then you got your hammerers and your. It depends on the paint scheme maybe with them, but I'm not sure about this. It depends on how I run the army. I didn't really run hammerers or ironbreakers before when I used to play dwarves anyway. I used to run longbeards and other stuff. So we will see whether I feel I can get away with them.
Hammerers if you took a. There was a certain set of characters.
Yeah, I know.
If you took them, they were upgraded to be bodyguard.
Yeah, I think hammerers might be that. Might be the go-to.
Fearless, I think.
Yes, I think so. From memory, I can't remember now. I haven't started writing old world dwarf lists because I didn't want to distract myself before they were out. I probably will in the over Easter holidays, maybe beginning of next month. Once I've got my painting out of the way, I will probably sit and start playing around on Old World Builder and looking at lists and things. But I imagine they'll be very similar to what I wrote before. But maybe the hammerers, but we'll see. I've got a feeling there's going to be another article anyway, not long before it releases, just like we've seen for the orcs. And suddenly there's loads more stuff, and there'll be more metal kits. But we got returning kits, so we have Forge World. I'm guessing some of these were metal before, some of them would have been Forge World before. Yeah, there's just one set of miniatures returning in Forge World resin, and they're a doozy. The much missed dwarf command set, and they are. I really like the Slayer there. Yeah, I like all of those models, to be honest with you. Really nice. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I remember them. Can you remember what these...
No, I don't remember those. I remember the Doom Seekers and stuff, because they were for Storm of Chaos, because it was the Axe Thrower, the Goblin Hewer, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Goblin Hewer is right, yeah. So yeah, I don't remember those, but they are lovely. So yeah, I'd probably want those. I'm glad they're not on Made to Order. The old anvil. I think it's quirky and it's cool. That's something I would have liked to have seen come out as a new plastic kit, maybe. But it's not something I used to run anyway. I do like it, but it's showing its age, and something show their age and they look really. I don't know. They look charming. This I'd paint, but I don't think it would necessarily fit in with some of the aesthetic of the army. Who knows? Who knows? These are amazing. Classic Slayers. Really, really returning in metal as well. That's going to be an expensive unit if you want a big block of Slayers. I had 30 Slayers in my 8th edition army. I don't think I'd need 30 now. And they were a mix. Right, some of them were right back. Berserker dwarves from 3rd edition era, and some of them were sort of 4th, 5th, 6th edition. So a real mix. Did I have all of those? I think I pretty much, I think I had all of those miniatures before. God, why did I get rid of them? And then we got onto the Made to Order And this is, I had this set as well, and I had it in its box. So Prince Ulfur's Dragon Company, and this is a regiment of renown. This is very much before your time, isn't it, Dan? But I remember them when they were out when I was a youth, and then I owned them sort of around the 2010s, I suppose, when I was playing 8th edition then. And I bought quite a few extra ones. They're fairly monopose, the regular blokes. Their only real difference is whether the helmet's open or not, and you got beer sculpt difference, I think. And then you got your little command unit as well. And it sounds like from this you get 2 sets. They're going to be out in 2 sets. One's the command set and one's the standard guys. So yeah, in sets of 5. If they're going anything, you go on the prices of the old metal Bretonian stuff. This is probably going to be quite expensive. It might be like 30 odd quid for 5 or something. It's going to be a very expensive unit if you want to do them all. But it sounds like the rules for these are going to be on the box again, which I like. Because it feels like these aren't part of your dwarf army. These are part of something a little bit extra. So rather than being Arcane Journal, here's a unit. And you need to buy these really expensive made-to-order models. This feels like a little bit of a case of this isn't the main army, this is a little extra. And it says that you can use them for Imperial, sorry, can be used as mercenaries by Dwarven and Imperial armies. So you can basically, they're a mercenary unit because they are almost humanized. The idea is that they probably live in a human city or something like that, which I think is quite cool. And if you stuck them with, and it says Imperial army, so I'm guessing an Empire or something like that. I don't know if that means Bretts as well, but I quite like the idea of using them in an Empire army because these sculpts are a bit small compared to some of the other stuff. So when I had this unit, I used them as my iron breakers, but I didn't really field them very often because I didn't get iron breakers in my list, and they looked all right, but they did look small, and that was on 20s back then. I got a feeling these are going to look a little bit diddy, especially next to these modern plastics. They're going to look like children next to these. So I love them. This is real nostalgia. But if I got them, I'd probably pick them up. Well, I won't be getting them because they're on made to order. I probably won't pick them up because I'll be looking at buying other things. I'd be tempted to buy them as allies in an Empire army and use them as Imperial dwarves. I hope the rules. So if anyone from GW is watching, and who knows, but I'd love the idea that the rules that are in the box, whether they're in the box or on the box, is also made available as a PDF or something, because there will be people out there with them, and there'll be people out there that want to use the rules for them, but have other Imperial dwarves. I don't know if you know the ones I'm thinking of, Dan, like the ones that are in Bretonian armour, that kind of stuff. Yeah. There's a range of Imperial dwarves which aren't these, but would fit perfectly into that aesthetic and that idea of having a Imperial style dwarf unit in a Bretonian army, or definitely in an Empire army or something like that. So I hope the rules just aren't on the box or inside the assembly guide, which is the modern way. It's great to put them in there, and originally all the regiments from around had the rules on the back of the box, including the stats. I love it, and I'm very comfortable with this not being part of the main rules or part of the Arcane Journal. I quite like the thought of it. This is how you do your mercenaries. You bring out these cool made-to-order units. It's basically a new way of doing Dogs of War. Now maybe in the future they'll do a combined PDF of all the units once they've been out or something. I don't think many people will be taking mercenaries anyway. You know, they have some negatives to taking mercenaries, so I don't think many people will be. It's very much more of a fluffy, fun way of doing it. So yeah, why not release them like this and put the rules in with the packs? But yeah, please do make sure those rules are available to download as well, because some people will need those rules and want to use those rules, but not have access to these miniatures, especially if they're made to order. I suspect they will, but if they haven't thought of that, I hope they do, because it would be a cool way of doing it. I know, I think it's probably in the chat now. I think I saw his name pop up, Svengar, I think Ben, so he's one of my patrons and he's in the Discord. I know he's got a lot of old metal dwarves, and he's been collecting, slowly buying Imperial dwarves on eBay. In fact, I'm sending him some that he's bought from the UK that I'm sending over with something else soon, sending down to Australia. And I know that he'll want to use some Imperial dwarves, but whether he wants to buy enough to make a whole unit, he probably doesn't need it. So being able to get the rules elsewhere for people would be good, I think. But I'd love to see him back. It's incredible. But they were cute to own at the time. I might pick up the command bit and not the regular dudes, or just one pack of each, and put them by, and then look out, like I said, for some other Imperial dwarves on eBay at some point. But like I said, we saw something like this for Orcs and Goblins, and then once the announcement came out, there's even more stuff than we thought. So there's more to come, isn't there? They've said there's more to be announced. So I expect there will be. I suspect we will see more stuff for the dwarves closer to time. You're back on screen, Dan, just to let you know. So just in case you're doing anything embarrassing.
No.
I'm really excited for that Dwarven release. I think if those boxes are £100, I think that's a reasonable start in modern Games Workshop gaming. 4 units, a couple of war machines, a couple of gyrocopters. It's interesting. It's not one gyrocopter and a cannon or something, but it looks like. In there, but it looks like that from we haven't covered it all, but it looks like the artillery is returning in metal. So rather than the plastic artillery, is that still available in AOS? Someone might be able to tell us in the chat. Maybe they're keeping that, which in that regard surprises me that they're bringing back that multi-kit, the Iron Breakers, the Hammers kit. And if AOS keeping hold of that kit, they could just bring back metal 6th edition Hammers and metal 6th edition Longbeards. I still think we will see more metal units than what's been shown here. I think there'll be more announced. So seems like we've got more new characters, but I still think that I might be wrong. Yeah, well, there's no miners there. They're in the list, so there's more to be shown. So I've got a feeling that aside from that, I think there's going to be. I bet you there's going to be metal Iron Breakers potentially.
Wasn't there plastic? There was a plastic miner set after Battle of Skull Pass, wasn't there? So they're probably.
There was there. Sure. I can't remember. It might well have been actually. I can't remember. I'm not a fan of the Skull Pass ones. They're all a little bit on the small side. I'm glad they've not gone down that route and brought them out. They're all a little bit diddy. I'm glad. And these plastics are absolutely fine and serviceable. The newer ones, as I said, I'm not sure what I feel about them. But I'm fine with what's there, and I've got these. I'm looking forward to them, and I'll try and do something with these in April now, because people will be talking about dwarves. And once I've got my Warriors of Chaos out of the way, I've got plastic foot knights have arrived now. My questing knights have arrived, but it's just all come at a time when there's a new army coming out and a new one launching. Then the fun of the YouTuber who's worrying about which content to put out. So I will be working on a few different things. But what's your guess then? When these dwarves are going to be out, Dan? So we've waited 2 months. So if we announce the Orcs and Goblins on the 20th of Jan. So it's nearly been 2 whole months since they were announced before the Orcs and Goblins went for pre-order.
Mid to late May.
Yeah, I think it won't. I don't necessarily think it will be a full 2 months, because the first time around it was 2 factions launching. It's only one for this part. So I think it could be anything from 1 month away to 2 months. I think it'll be in that window. I don't think it'll be longer, but mid-May, 6 weeks. Midweek, 6 months.
Because July is going to be AOS, isn't it?
Yeah.
Always July.
So do you think we might not? Yeah, we might not get one more. We might only. I can see, because of the second waves that are because there's clearly a huge second wave of Orcs and Goblins to come. And there's going to be clearly 2 waves at least of dwarves, and there's still outstanding models like Elise Duchar, but some of those I could see that they're really good to keep the odd model back, and then halfway through the year when Brett's players are going, well, I've not had anything for the gamers are like, I've not had anything for my army for at least 6 months. Well, you've had your whole range launched, and I'll just drop it as a way to kind of keep
I
keep people
I don't
happy.
know. I think she'll be soon if she's ever, because they wouldn't show her.
True, but I think when they showed her, I don't know, you get the impression that they were a little bit surprised about how popular this has been, and it feels like there's a chance there's been some readjustment done. Do you think?
I'd be surprised. I reckon she's sat somewhere now. The way they forecast and look there, I reckon she's sat somewhere now. So I wouldn't be surprised if she was released in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Probably it would make sense, because that will put it firmly within the 3 month window, which
True.
GW no longer really shows anything that's not going to release in the next 3 months.
I think she's the only thing from those two. It's odd that she's on her own. I think is the only thing. But it could be as simple as they were weighing on some artwork or some packaging for her. Who knows? Maybe it just seems weird to hold just her back out of all those things, unless they had a specific reason to hold her back.
You never know. We might then announce her on Sunday. So usually our luck, we hypothesise, and then the first thing they do is on Sunday they put it on the.
I'm not worried about missing the announcement of the model like that. I'm glad we timed it quite well for this. We were going to do Tuesday, weren't we? And then this was announced. So like there was no point in recording on Tuesday when this was coming so soon afterwards. But I just think there's a huge amount of news we've gone through today. Whether we got this pre-order coming up, and then all of those things. I think it was a big Adepticon announcement, regardless of whether we play all those games a lot. And the Games Workshop, well, that's a lot of new stuff.
And what we haven't touched on is the teaser for what looks to be Mechanicum for Heresy.
Of course,
and a new edition of Necromunda.
Yeah, I've got that in my list as well, and I just didn't, because there was nothing to show, because it's just a 30-second teaser. Well, not even that; it's like a 10-second teaser video. So yeah, it looks like another second. It would be a third edition, would it be, of Necromunda? So they had two editions.
I don't know if. I think it's second edition.
Is it before they just?
They did dark all the extra add-ons and stuff. Obviously, they did the Ash Waste and
then they just compilation books, wasn't it? They just kind of rewrote the books and So it might be a second edition.
Second ed.
And then we've got
looks like it's aiming.
We say second ed of the new generation.
Yes.
It'd be technically third edition, won't it? And then Heresy, Mechanicum.
It looks like Mechanicum, and they've done solar orcs now, so they're clearly ramping up to do everything. It
is. They dropped big hints on the live bit. So the hosts, they gave some hints that said, they kind of made it pretty clear that it was them without actually saying it. Just lots of big news, really. So I think it's been if you're a Games Workshop gamer and you follow lots of their game systems, you'll probably be lots of things excited. If you're like me and you love Old World, then it's been a huge week for seeing stuff and new news and stuff. And as an Old Dwarf player, this is a big one for me, I suppose. I'm excited, very much excited for it.
Yeah, up to it for me. And this is very much personal. I appreciate it was a good reveal. It was a good review, all that kind of stuff. There's been less in this one I've been that bothered about, even to the point of even when there's been stuff I've not been that bothered about before. There's been models I've gone, model's pretty. This one less so much, but you can't win them all. This one just wasn't for me. So
that's fair enough.
Absolutely fine.
That's fair enough. Absolutely. Right, let's head back to the chat, and then we'll end this on about the predicted 2-hour mark. I think you were going to take that long with all these announcements to go through. So Jordan's said he'd love to fight some Storm of Chaos scenarios. Hint, hint. There we go. That could be good fun for the future.
I've got the book somewhere. I've got the Storm of Chaos book.
I'm sure Jordan has. I don't, but I would purchase it definitely for some. I'd love to use use the Old World to play rules to play some of those old scenarios and things are really good. Then we go. Wondering with Skaven and AOS, is Steve Harbour wondering with Skaven and AOS, are they going to update the non-clan rat inventory at a lot more AOS style? Isn't that roughly what they do with Lizardman? I imagine they would, because it's normally in an AOS and a 40k start set, everything is new every time, whether it needed a new one or not. That's why we ended up with so many Primaris lieutenants, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lieutenants or lieutenants, I don't know. They're British company. I think they still call them lieutenants. So yeah, I imagine they probably will, and that's my fear. Is that it's a fear that they will rip that range away and it will go away and we won't be able to get it anymore. But also, I want them to do that so that it is free to come back. So it's a kind of just the timing of it, really. The timing of it with dwarves coming out and all the other things I've got going on. I'd love it to come to have come in a period when there's 3 or 4 armies in a row for Old World that I didn't want, and I could afford to invest in some Skaven boxes to put away for a different project. But we'll see. I think Sven was talking about the Osseo Bone Reapers. Skeletons without real bone structures are a bit stretched for me. Well done for what it is. Yeah, they're constructs as well, aren't they? They're supposed to be made from lots of different bits, I think, which is weird because they all look so uniform. But again, some people probably love them. It's out of all of the AOS range, I just don't get it either.
The large scale general model's quite cool. The guy stood on the rock with his advisors.
Yeah, I think I know. There's some okay bits. I know some people have tried to use their catapult as a sort of a conversion for a screaming skull for Old World, but yeah, it's not really for me. Sven got bring on the dwarves. Everything is looking very good. Sean got best reveal of the whole stream. Yeah, he's talking about I forgot to put this. I was going to put an image in. So Bugman's cart. Dan, you won't have seen this unless you just watched the video. Bugman, I own that.
But someone else has put a still in. I remember the model. Yeah.
I don't know whether they're going to do some funny rules for it or something. It'd be great to have you put him near a unit and you give them some Bugman's 4x and they get recover some wounds or something for the unit. It would be quite funny. Yeah. But I owned that model.
-1 to initiative.
So yeah, even as a sort of a 13-year-old, I loved that model. I don't know if it's got any. That was when I first decided I liked beer at such a young age. It was Bugman's, but I had that model. I don't even know what happened to it, but it was a lovely model. And that again would be very tempting for a nostalgia. I'm guessing that will be made to order. What else have we got? Do warriors or long builds? Yeah, with hand weapons or great weapons should be simple enough to convert some quarrelers into rangers too. Yes, well, might as well. I was thinking about rangers and whether to use that kit as rangers or to use some of these. I'm going to have 32 of these. I'm not going to need 32 warriors either. So I'll have to sit down with a pen and paper and work out what I'm going to build into what. I think see how it goes. But there might be too many quarrelers, or we'll see. Might make unit warriors, rangers out of these, and then the box kind of as is designed, and do mix of quarrelers and thunderers, and then longbeards. That might well be enough. And my name, KV Forge, is here. Gives me hope they're actually print full Dogs of War range. So that's my super generous neighbour. I don't know if he was in earlier on when I was showing off pictures of all the stuff that he's given me. So go and click on his profile and go and make sure you go and subscribe to his channel, everyone. The KV Forge at the bottom of the chat there. Full Dogs. I've got a theory on Dogs of War, and this kind of goes to the project lead for Old World. Is an absolute huge Old Hammer fan. Loves Old Hammer and collectors and stuff. And there's a lot of miniatures that he's dug out for this range. We've seen them come back on Made to Order and things. So I'd be astounded if we got to the end of all these 9 factions and some of those Dogs of War factions, if the molds still exist and the miniatures, the masters still exist. I don't think they'll all come back, but I've got a feeling that a couple of them will. And if I talked about this a little bit on one of the videos I did talking about the lore, I think it was the Cathay and Kislev video. If you read the lore in the Old World rulebook, they really lean quite heavily and mention Talia and Estalia and how they didn't have standing armies and they relied on mercenaries. And they've got 2 pages worth of lore, just the same as the other main factions have. And it's odd to see that in there if they're just background. So it feels like it's almost been set up to explain away some of these mercenaries. They might not call them Dogs of War anymore, but might well call them mercenary units. They may. I suspect we might see 1 or 2 of those old units coming back from the Dogs of War range and called Mercenaries. That'd be my guess. I think it'd be a really cool way of doing it. And looking at things like those Imperial Dwarves just gives you an idea that they're thinking about doing things outside of those arcane journals. It'd be lovely if they did an extra arcane journal that was called Dogs of War. How cool would that be? A 10th surprise arcane journal just called Dogs of War. And over the course of all these releases, they released these other mercenary units, and they were all listed in there. All the rules are in there. That'd be really cool as well. But yeah, I think that's it. Dan, have you got anything you want to add before we drivel on into to the third hour too far?
I think we've more than truly covered it. Obviously, thanks for watching in this occasion live. First time I've ever done anything like this, so yeah, forgive me. I don't always know what to do with myself in these situations.
I think you've been very much the same as you normally are, Dan. I think I don't know, I felt like we just switched into what we normally do. We just haven't been able to swear or stop and get up and go to the toilet like we might have done a few times when we record them. But it's been good. It's been good. Right. Well, we don't know when we're not going to. The plan isn't to do all of these live now. Dan wouldn't let me, and I don't know even if I want to do them all live. So they won't. Hobby hours won't all be live. I will continue to do the irregular live streams. Some we may do where we think it'll be really good to get chat integration in, and we'll give you a bit of advance notice when we plan to do that, so you can go and do swatting up on a topic. So we got something we won't announce now, but there was a topic Dan came up with the other day that we both thought that'd be a really good one to do live, because it'd just be good to get people's comments on it. But that may or may not be the next one, but we really enjoyed doing it. We will do more lives. I suspect next time we get around to our Christmas special, that will become a live one, and may even have alcohol involved, so I'll definitely have to be maybe we'll unmonetize that one accidentally, but anyway, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and we'll catch you soon.